We talk it out, no time to waste. Ooh, yeah. Face to face, we set the pace. Hey, hey. Love so strong, no need to race. We hold it tight in every space, making it last. Oh, making it last. Yeah, yeah. Through the future, through the past. Building it high, keeping it fast. Communication, making it last. Making it last. Oh, making it last. Yeah, yeah. Through the future, through the past. Building it high, keeping it fast. Communication, making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And I'm here talking with a Dominican, but he's currently pastoring in St. Vincent, hence the flag behind him. Welcome, Pastor Brent St. John.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so you notice I said pastor. So it then gives you an idea that we're going to be talking about something spiritual. So what we're going to be unpacking this time around is godly tips to help relationships thrive. But before we get into the tips that he'll share with us, why do you think it's necessary for us to even have this conversation, Brent?
It's very important because I believe beyond the shadow of a doubt that we have a need for godly relationships these days. We're seeing that there's a serious lack in authentic, pure relationships. And even people who do not even know God are now saying, boy, these godly people are onto something. And when you hear atheists say that, boy, it looked like the God way is the way to go. I heard one atheist say the other day, what we need is to bring back God in our society. And even if they believe, even if they don't believe in God, they still believe that the God model is still the best model to have a holistic relationship in the world today.
Okay, all right. So let's hear what you're going to share with us. What are the tips?
Oh, yes. So first I want to talk about is spending time with God.
Okay.
It's very important to have that relationship with God. I believe if you want to have a good relationship with others, and you want relationship with others to strive, then you have to have a good relationship with God. I believe they mirror each other. When persons cannot have good relationship with others, it's usually a reflection of their relationship with God. And because when you get closer to God, you get closer to others. And that's why the Bible always says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love God, then love your neighbor. And I believe that there is a connection. There is a connection. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. I believe that if you look at the whole way the Bible is written, it seems to suggest to us on the surface and even deep down that your relationship with your neighbor is fully dependent on your relationship with God. And if you can get your relationship with God right, usually you will have a better relationship with those around you. So I believe that's very important. Having that relationship with God is important. Spending time with God, learning your weaknesses and developing your weaknesses to make them strengths. Because if you're a good follower of Christ, you will love your neighbor.
True. Before you move on to something else, though, but there are a lot of distractions because we live in a society with a lot of distractions. How easy or how can one be very intentional about really just finding time to spend with God?
That's a crucial point. I was saying to some young people the other day, there was a time when spending time with God was what we used to do to burn some time too. There was a time I remember being younger, and if you did not spend time with God, it was like you couldn't fill up your day. You couldn't fill your day properly because you had too much time on your hands. Now, we are so busy that if we do not make time, we would recognize that the whole day would pass and we would not even feel the need anymore. And I believe we have to be so intentional about setting time aside for God. Because if we do not set the time, it's just like going to work. You know, there was a time when you go to work that you felt like the work day was very long. If you make a mistake and go to work and sit down and just get distracted for a little while, you'll recognize the whole work day passes and you did not accomplish anything of substance. So it's so important to be strategic every day that I have a list of goals that I want to accomplish today. And I believe on top of that list should be our relationship with God and spending time with God. And putting it in as time spent with God is important. Scheduling it, because if we don't schedule it, I'm telling you, it will pass. And before we know it, we enter into a cycle of no time with God at all. And we won't forget that we have someone that we can call upon when we need him.
Okay. So you set the base now. So most importantly, we must spend time with God, build that relationship so that we can have then better relationships with others. So let's get into the other godly tips.
Yeah. One of the crucial tips I want to share this morning is unselfishness. I think for me, that's one of the greatest things that I realize that is affecting relationships all across the board. Selfishness and having that unselfish spirit. I believe, as a marriage counselor myself, I realize that a lot of things are rooted in selfishness. And when people are unselfish, their relationships thrive, meaning that you want the other person to do well. You want them to have what you have and more. You want them to develop, you want them to grow, you want to create that environment for them to strive, and you want them to fulfill their goals. Anytime you find yourself holding on to what is yours and not willing to share, you have a formula that is working for you, but you don't want to share it with that person. You have a model that works for you. You don't want to share it with that person. You find yourself in a position where the relationship does not strive because it's almost like a competition. I want more than you. I want to acquire more than you. I want to be more successful than you. I want to be more seen than you. And because of that, you stranglehold that person, that they are not able to get to their true potential. So unselfishness for me is a critical aspect. And one of the traits that you have to have, if you want to have a thriving relationship, unselfishness is key. Unselfishness is key.
What about persons who will say, but yes, if sometimes I try to be that way, people might just take, advantage of me and take it to the extreme. How then do you ensure that balance, is maintained?
Well, I was saying to someone the other day, you can never be a true child of God and people don't take advantage of you. It sounds a little cold, but I believe any true Christian, any person who is doing life right, would have countless examples of persons taking advantage of them and persons taking them for granted or using them, abusing their good nature. I've seen it so many times. And what I always tell people, do not let the evil and selfishness of others change who you are.
Love that.
Because I believe, Jesus did not allow people to change him. Even when he knew they were going to kill him, even when they knew they were going to betray him, even when he knew they didn't like him, he still did everything that he could to love them unconditionally and unselfishly. And I believe it helped some. Some changed when they saw that unselfishness and that unselfish nature. They changed because it helped them to change. Others, they just took advantage of him and they just didn't like him and they said all manner of evil things against him. So I always tell people, your unselfishness should not be motivated by those who will accept it or those who take advantage of it. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. So I always tell people, ensure that you have enough in the tank to keep giving. You cannot give what you do not have. But essentially, you have to be prepared in being an unselfish person that you will be taken advantage of and people will take you for granted. But ensure that it does not change who you are, because mentally, you feel better when you're unselfish. You thrive when you're unselfish. You feel better about yourself when you're unselfish.
Okay. Tell us more.
Another critical item for me is unconditional love. And for me, people say they love. And love is one of the things that is just thrown out there. But I tell people, a lot of relationships today lack unconditional love. Love is tied to what they can get. Love is tied to what they can receive. Love is tied to how they will be seen. But the hardest thing to do is to love someone without getting anything in return. And it is to love someone expecting nothing. Even if they do not give you anything in return, that you love them still. And I believe that's one of the most lacking traits in the world today. People do not love unconditionally. People love you based on your ability to love them back or your ability to give them back. They hand that reciprocation. We are humans. So that reciprocity is something that we love and we desire. We love that, when we give, we get back, so that reciprocity and so forth. But I believe one of the strongest traits of a good relationship, and one that will strive, is when you say, whether you love me back or not, whether you care for me or not, I'm going to love you unconditionally. Whether you take care of me or not, I'm not going to cheat on you. Because in a love relationship, in a romantic relationship, even when you don't treat me good, it doesn't mean I'm going to share myself with somebody else. So I'm going to cheat on you. I'm going to pursue an extramarital relationship or an extra relationship. I love you, and that is my commitment to you. So whether you are good to me or bad to me, whether you love me or I feel I'm not receiving that love, I have made a commitment to love unconditionally. When you master that, I believe that is the foundation of any good relationship.
Oh boy.
Welcome back. I'm Brent St. Jean, Youth Director for the SVG Mission of Seventh-day Adventists. Dominican, of course, can't forget. And I'm sharing healthy tips on sustaining godly relationships. It was a pleasure. Let's take a break for word from our partners.
There are moments in life that make us so aware of our limitations. And in those moments, it is so important to have people around you who know your strengths. Let me tell you a quick story about that. I remember the first time that I was asked to host for television, live for television. And yes, I've hosted so many programs and done weddings and the likes, and I am totally at peace when a mic is in my hand. Yet in this moment, walking into that studio and seeing the lights and the cameras and just the air of the space, honestly, it made me feel inadequate. In that moment, it felt like my lack of experience back then made me not a good fit. And I remember just fitting the mold and reading the script and doing the best that I could to be someone else. Yeah. It was halfway through the program that I leaned over to Miss Noreen A. Daly, who's one of the top communications.
Hi everyone, Delmas Brown here, National Debating Champion 2017, also graduate of Northern Caribbean University, Governor General Awardee for Excellence 2018, and also international researcher, international debater, among other things. Now, the reason behind this video is to introduce you to the world's best communications coach who has made all of these kinds of accomplishments possible. Now, for 4 years, I had the opportunity, or privilege rather, to be coached by Noreen Daly, a communications speech specialist who has done a very phenomenal job at ensuring that I no longer use unnecessary filler vocabulary, and who has also taught me the essence of communicating.
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at landolanguage@gmail.com, because the real question is, how can we help you?
Welcome back.
That's difficult. That's all I will say. And a lot of us still aspire to that. And I mean, in any type of relationship, you're absolutely right. To be able to love unconditionally, that literally takes that another level, Pastor. Yeah.
And I always tell people, God is the only one who can help you to love unconditionally. One of the hardest things to do in life is to know someone is doing what they can to destroy you, or you know that someone is working against you. You know that that person does not give you the love that you need and you expect, but still make a decision to love that person in spite of. I believe that is what godliness is about. That's the godly aspect, and I believe that is why persons who do not even know God ask us, Christians, you know better. You need to bring that love back into the world, because I believe that's what the world is lacking. We just lack that unconditional love, that trait that says, in spite of, even if I know that you are working against me, even if I know that you're not giving me what I deserve, I choose to love you without expecting anything in return. I believe that is crucial.
Okay. So you've told us about unselfishness, unconditional love, and of course, you set the base to say, well, of course, all of this starts with having a better relationship with God. Any more before we
Respect.
close? Okay.
Respect. I believe we lack respect these days. I mean, I think one of the easiest things to do is to be disrespectful. It is something that I think it's our default setting that whenever we feel attacked, our trump card is disrespect. Whenever there is a challenge, we go for the jugular and demean that person, tell them something that would hurt them, and say something derogatory to them, because we believe that is scoring some additional points. And I believe respect is critical. Respect is critical. It's something that we all struggle with.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, sometimes we sit down and we talk about these things, but even in our own relationships, we recognize that there's a lot more that we can do to be more respectful, because it's easy to lash
True.
out. It's easy.
True.
One of the easiest things to do is to say something disrespectful, because we know the impact it will have. Sometimes it allows us to win an argument. Sometimes it allows us to really hurt the person to the point that they would back down, and the war would stop. But what we don't realize, that disrespect goes a long, long way, and it festers into many problems later down. And I believe if you check out, I've seen it many times, and even when I do premarital counseling and marital counseling, I recognize when couples are having issues and so forth, and they're having serious challenges, when you go back and you start tracing back, you would see that it came from a place of disrespect. When that respect started breaking down, when that person started calling each other's names and disrespecting family, disrespecting the person's hard work and their value and so forth. And so you always see it going back to that place, that it started from a place of disrespect, when you started looking at that person as less than you and saying things that were demeaning to them. So I believe a critical part of having a godly relationship and letting it strive is mutual respect. As long as there is respect, I believe it sets a solid foundation for a good relationship.
As we're wrapping up, Brent, of all that you have outlined, if you had to pick, I'm taking out the very first one that you said out of it. So you have to pick up the three that you shared with us right now. If people are saying this is a lot for me to process, and I want to say at least start with at least this quote unquote main one or most important one, and then I'll try to work on the others. For you, what would that one be of the three?
The sad reality is the hardest one, and that is unconditional love.
Okay.
And I believe that for me, that says it all. It's the basis, I believe, for not just surviving, but being happy in any relationship. Because if you do not love unconditionally and you start thinking back at what the person has done to you, the hurt that they put you through already, and so on, you can develop that hatred in your heart and so on. But when you love unconditionally, when you can actually give them what you don't think they deserve. And I believe when you give someone what they feel like, why did you do this for me? Why did you still buy this gift for me? Why did you still rub my back? Why did you still take care of me, look out for me, cover that for me? And you can tell them, it's not because of how I feel about what you did to me. It's because I choose to love you unconditionally. I believe that is one of the key things to break down barriers and to break down challenges, and that can still allow a relationship to thrive amidst all the challenges.
Excellent note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing, Brent.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here, and may God continue to bless us to have thriving, long-lasting, happy relationships.
This was Make It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Mary Daly. Until next time.
We talk it out, no time to waste. Face to face, we set the pace. Love so strong, no need to race. We hold it tight in every space, making it last. Oh, making it last. Yeah, yeah. Through the future, through the past. Building it high, keeping it fast. Communication, making it last. Making it last. Oh, making it last. Yeah, yeah. Through the future, through the past. Building it high, keeping it fast. Communication, making it last.